Okay, good morning, everybody. As we go to the chitas of today. We're holding in the portion of Vayishlach. We're holding today is Friday. We're holding the sixth reading of that portion on chapter 35, verse number 12. And this land which I've given to Abraham, Yitzchak, and to Isaac, and I'm going to give it to you. And to your offsprings after, I'm giving this land. And then God went from him at the place where he had spoken to him. This is one of the interesting Rashis. Eini Yedea. I do not know. Ma melamdenu. What does the Torah want to tell us with this verse? That means that Rashi is bothered about something and says, I don't know. Yaakov built a monument, a place where God spoke to him, heaven, a monument of stone, and he poured a wine libation upon it, and he poured upon it oil. And Yaakov called the place where God had spoken to him, Beis Kel, the house of God. Beis Kel, he travels from Beis Kel on his journey onward to Hebron. He was traveling towards Hebron when he was still in some difference. Love Ephrath, he was still in the distance of coming to Ephrat. City of Ephrat still there today. And Rachel had gave birth. Atikash Belidta, and she had difficulty in her birth. Now she says, Menachem and Surik explains, Kivras is kabir, much, in a great, meaning a great distance. Agada explains it, and Agada explains that the time of the year when the ground is full of holes, riddled with a sieve, meaning when there's plenty of plowed ground. When winter has passed, but the dry season had not yet come. But this is not the plain sense of the verse, for we find in the connection with Naama, he went away, kivras arich, which cannot have this meaning. Rather, I'm of the opinion that it's the name of a measure of land approximately the distance of a parsa, 8,000 cubits or more. As you find similar to the expression referred to a measure of land, a distance worked by a pair of cattle, semed, in a vineyard. And the chelkas of a land, so too the distance between a walk, as described in the name of the measure kivras aretz, talking about a measurement of land. So it was 8,000 cubits from Ephrat. He became a leader. And the labor became severe. And the midwife told her, Altiri, don't be afraid. Because you're having a son. Now she says, for this one, in addition to Yosef, you're having another child. Our rabbis explain that with each birth, a twin sister was born. That's the Medrash. The Medrash says that every one of the tribes were born with a girl. Problem over here, she was born with two girls. I understand why she had a very hard, difficult birth. He would say Snafsha. And she took her last breath. He maced her because she passed away. Atikar Shmoi Ben Oini. And she called him Ben Oini, the son of my sorrow. His father called him Binyamin, the son of the south. As she says, Ben Aini, the simple meaning is Ben Sided, the son of my pain. Binyamin, as she said, I'm the opinion that it was called because he alone was born in Canaan. He was the only one of the children of Yaakov that were born in Eretz Yisrael, which is the south. When a person comes from Aram Naraim, he's coming not from Egypt, he's coming from Aram Naraim, from Iraq, and it says in the south of Canaan, moving steadily towards south. He was moving, passing Yerushalayim towards Hebron. Binyamin, Ben Yamin, the name means the son of the south, Yamin. The word Yamin having the same meaning as in the north and south, Yamin. Yom of a Matzveno. Therefore, it's written in a full with the letter Yud after the men. Another explanation, Binyamin, means the son of days, because born in Yaakov's old age. As is written here with the letter Nun, Binyamin, instead of more usual with the letter Mem, Yamim. As we find in the end of days, Yamin. So that's why it's written in the not days, but years, the end of days. Yaakov Avinu at that time was in an older age. Sarah passed away. And she's buried in the road leading to Efrat, which is Bethlehem, Beis Lechem. And Yaakov erected a tombstone on her grave. This is the Matzeva, the tombstone of Rachel, Adayim until today, and you can go until today, and you can visit the tomb of Rachel. Yisrael, and then Yisrael continued to travel. And he pitched his tents beyond the Migdal of Eda. While Israel was residing in that region, Reuven, his oldest son Reuven went. Vayishkav as Bila. Reuven went and moved. This is a lot up to interpretation. Yishkav as Bila means he slept with Bila, but that's not the interpretation. He went and moved his bed. He's translating Rashi from Bila's tent to Leah. What happened was that Yaakov moved into Bila's tent. And he was going to stand up for his mother's respect. And he took Yaakov's bed and moved it into his mother's tent. By Yishma Yisrael, and Yaakov, Yishma, he heard what he saw what happened. By you, there's at least there's a lot of pay there. There's a separation between this word and the next word. That's why there's a lot of pay. It's open over here. I mean, it really should be two psukim, but it's one pasuk. And Yaakov had 12 sons. And Rashi will tell you what's the connection. Rashi says, before he came to Yaakov, to Yitzchak, his father in Shechem, in Hebron, all these troubles befell him. So he had all these problems. Esav, daughter Dinah, now Reuven. All this befell him, as Rashi said yesterday, because he tarried, so to say. He was taking his time. By Yishkav, because he disarranged the location of Yaakov's bed, the verse considered as if he slept with Bilah. He didn't sleep with his Bilah. And why did he disarrange and profane his father's couch? When Rachel died, Yaakov took his bed, which was usually kept in Rachel's tent, and not in other tents, and put in Bilah. Reuven then came to object to the insult of his mother. And he said, although my mother's sister was my mother's rival wife, it is proper for my mother's sister, Bonwin, to be my wife. What is my father doing? My father is insulting my mother. Therefore, he decided on his own to change the bed. He took the bed and he put it into his mother's tent. Yaakov's sons of 12. It starts with the previous subject. Once Benjamin was born, Yaakov's bed became complete, and his sons would now be able to count it. He had a complete, that's it. They knew they were going to have 12 tribes. This count came to teach us that they were all equal and all righteous. because Reuven did not really sin, because he meant it to protect the honor of his mother. He didn't want to do anything. He felt that his honor of his mother was being affected, and therefore he came to protect her. Bnei Leah, the children of Leah, Bechor Yaakov, who was the oldest son of Yaakov, was Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, and Zvulun. As she said, Bechor Yaakov, even at the time of his disgrace, the Torah calls him still the firstborn. Bechor Yaakov, what means the firstborn? The firstborn for inheritance, the firstborn for divine service, the firstborn enumerating the tribes. The birthright was given to Yosef ultimately, only with regard to the number of tribes, in that he became 2 tribes. But Reuven was always the Bechor Yaakov. Reuven was always considered the oldest son of Yaakov. Bnei Rachel, the children of Rachel, was Yosef and Binyamin. Bnei Bilhah, the children of Bilhah, was Shifchas Rachel. The maidservant of Rachel was Dan and Naphtali. Bnei Zilpah, the children of Zilpah, Shifchas Leah, Shich, the bondswoman of Leah, was Gad and Ophisha. Eile Bnei Yaakov, these are the children, these are the sons of Yaakov. Asher Yulei bePadan Aram, which he had in Padan Aram. Yaakov Yitzchak Aviv. Yaakov ultimately came to Yitzchak, his father, Kiryas Arba, Aviv Mamre. Kiryas Arba, he Chevron, came to the city of Kiryas Arba, which is Chevron. Asher Garsham Avram Yitzchak, that over there lived Avram and Yitzchak. Rashi says Mamre is the name of the plains of Chevron. Kiryas Arba, till today you have the city of Kiryas Arba. It's called the Kiryas Arba. It's the name of the city. Thus, to Mamre, the plains of Kiryas Arba. If you ask that it should have been written Mamre Kiryas Arba, I answer so that the rule of the Torah, with every time that it consists of a double word, such as in the case Beis Lechem, Avi Ezer, Beis Kale, the Hey is a prefix. It's placed before the second word, Beis Halachmi. In the town of Ofra Hanitzi, Avi HaEzri. Kiryas Ha'arba. Josh is just telling you why you need to have Ha'arba. It's called Kiryas Arba. Why you need Ha'arba? Because the Kirya was in the Arba. Yitzchak, in the life of Yitzchak, was Ma'ashana, Shmeina Shana. Yitzchak lived for 180 years. Now we know Ein Mukta Mucha B'Torah. There's no chronological order, as Rashi is going to say it. Next Rashi. Vayigva Yitzchak, and Yitzchak, in the year 2228, Yitzchak died. By Yosef Alame, he was gathered to his people. Zakin Shvava Yamim, he was old, and his days were filled. By Yikabru Esai, and they buried him. Esav and Yaakov, Rabbanov, Esav and Yaakov came to bury Yitzchak, their father. So Rashi says the Torah is not necessarily written in a chronological order. The sale of Yosef, because next week's Parsha, the sale of Yosef preceded Isaac's death by 12 years. So that means that Yosef was already sold 12 years. So next week's story happened before this verse. When Yaakov was born, because Yaakov was born, Isaac was 60 years old. As it says, Isaac was 60 years old. And Isaac died in the 120th year of Yaakov's life. So, right, because he was 180. So for 60 ducks, 180, left 120. And Yosef was sold in the 17th year of his life. And that was Yaakov's 108th year. So we're missing 12. How so? We received from the blessing, he received the blessing when he was 63 years old. He then went 14 years to Shem Ve'eva, making him 77. He then took work 14 years for his wife. And Yosef was born at the end of the 14th year, as it says when Rachel gave birth to Yosef, making him 91. At 17 years before Yosef was sold, was 108. So, therefore, we know that Yaakov and Yosef, that the story of Yosef happened when Yitzchak was still alive. So next week's portion, Yitzchak is still alive, even though we mentioned right now that Yitzchak died. This is furthermore evident And the Torah, at the time Yosef was sold, until Jacob came to Egypt, was 22 years. As it says, Yosef was 30 years old when he stood before Pharaoh. This is the beginning, this being the 13th year after he was sold. And 7 years of plenty. And 2 years of famine before Jacob came to Egypt. There's a total of 22 years. As it's written, Jacob arrived in Egypt and came before Pharaoh. And he said, I'm 130 years. Thus, at the time Yosef was sold, Yaakov was 108 years old. So that's the calculation. So that means that Yitzchak lived the majority of the time Yosef was in prison. A year after Yitzchak passed away, Yosef came out of prison a year later. But then it had to the 7 years of plenty, and then the 2 years of famine. His father didn't come to him for another 9 years. Chapter 36, verse number 1. These are the descendants of Esau. Who Edom? Esau is Edom. Esau took his first of all his wives from the daughters of Canaan. As Ada bas Ola, Ada the daughter of Elon, the Hittite. As Evilama bas Anna bas Tzivin Achivi. And Evilama, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Tzivin, the Hivite. Now she says, as she puts together all this, you're going to see a lot of names over here. Ada, the daughter of Elon, she is Basmat, the daughter of Elon. And her nickname was Basmas because she burnt spices for idols. So you're going to see this name. Avilama, she is Judith, Yudit. Esau had nicknamed her Judith to intimate that she renounced idolatry. Yudit, she became Jewish. So to deceive his father, he changed the name of his wife. Bas Anna bas Tzivin. So Rashi says, if she's the daughter of Anna, she could not be the daughter of Tzivin. For Anna was the son of Tzivin. As it says, these are the son of Tzivin, Aya and Anna. However, the verse teaches us this how this family was so, this Esau's family and the people that he married was so mixed up. And that is Anna, Anna. The verse teaches that Tzivin had a relationship with his daughter-in-law, Anna's wife. And from them, Avilima was born. So she was a mamzeres. Scripture thereby informing you that all of them were illegitimate births. They were all sleeping with each other's, with the family, with their own daughter-in-laws. As Basmas Yishmael, he took Basmas' daughter of Yishmael, Achais Navios, the sister of Navios. Now she says, but in elsewhere he's called Machlat. In the previous portion, he said he married Machlat. I found in a God in the Medrash and Shmuel, 3 categories of people are pardoned for their sins. A convert who converts, God forgives the convert all his sins. One who is appointed to a high position, he's forgiven all his sins, like it comes a Kohen Gadol, it comes a Melech, and one who marries. So the Medrash rise proof from the last case from here. She was called Machlas because upon Esau's marriage to her, his sins were pardoned. That's why Machlas, that's why Esau married many times, because he wanted to be forgiven on all his Avedas. Achais, on all his sins. Achais Navios, because he gave her in marriage to Esau after Yishmael died. Navios was a son of Yishmael. She continued to refer to by his name even later, even though so that's why he's called the brother of Navios. And Ada had to Esau as Eliphaz. This is the guy who went after Yaakov. Basmas Yoldes Ruel, and Basmas had Ruel. Velima Yoldes Yosh, and the Velima gave birth to Yosh. Ves Ya'alam, Ves Koirach, Ya'alam and Koirach. Eila b'nei Esav, Asher Yoldu be'ez Canaan. These are the offsprings of Esav, which he had in the land of Canaan. Now she says, Avilima bore Koirach. This also Koirach was an illegitimate child and was the son of Eliphaz, who had a relationship with his father's wife. So Eliphaz went and had a relationship with with Esav's wife, with Evelima, and the meaning with his Evelima, the wife of Esav. The proof being that Kairach is a Nunra, the chief of Eliphaz, at the end of this section. So again, they had a lot of incest in these people that were sleeping with their father's mother, father's wife, etc. Esav took his wives, his sons, and his daughters. He took all the people of his household, and all his lifestyle, all his animals, everything that he had, and he packed his bags by Yelech. He moved away. He moved away. They went away from this land. So Yaakov came and Esav left. Why? Because their property was abundant, they had a lot of cattle. And the land could not hold them for the cattle. Hashem provides sufficient pasture for their animals. That's a simple meaning. And the Agada explains, why did Esav move away from his brother Yaakov? Rather than have Yaakov leave instead. He's been living there for the last 20 years. Yaakov comes, Esav leaves. Because of the bill of debt of decree that your descendants will be foreigners in the land of their heirs, of not theirs. That was imposed upon Yaakov's descendants. So Esav said, I don't want to be part of this family. This family is going to go into exile. So he said, I shall go away from here. I wish no part of this, not in the gift of the land, and not that was given to him, nor in the payment of the bill of the debt. I don't want the honey, and I don't want the bite. I don't want I don't want the land, and I don't want the punishment. I want to get out of here. And Esav was not concerned his leaving would cause him embarrassment, because he felt shame in any case for having sold his birthright. So he decided, I don't want to be part of the Jewish nation, even though Esav was a Jew. I don't want to be part of the Jewish nation. I want to pack my bags and go. And that's exactly what it is. Yeshev, Esav, Bahar Seir, Esav, Edom. Esav settled in the Mount Seir. Esav is Edom. Esav, Bahar Seir, these are the descendants of Esav. The history of the father of Edom was born in Mount Seir. That Rashi said the descendants of which his son's father, after they went to Seir, not him but his sons. These are the children of Esav. Eliphaz, the son of Ada. Ashes Esav, the wife of Esav. Ruel Bav Basmas Ashes Esav. Ruel, the son of Esav's wife Basmas. By being Eliphaz. The sons of Eliphaz was Taman, Omer, Tzvoi, Vegata Maknas. Timna. And Timna, Haisaf, Pilegesh, Lalifash Ben Esav. Timna became a concubine to Eliphaz, the son of Esav. Atel Eliphaz as Amalek, and she had for Eliphaz Amalek. So Amalek was the grandson of Esav. Eile b'nei Ada Ashes Esav. These are the descendants of Ada, the wife of Esav. Why does it tell us over that Timna was a Pelegesh, a concubine? This is tell us Avram's greatness, expressed of how much people want to attach themselves to his descendants. This Timna was a descendant of a chieftain. He's part of a royal family. As it says, Leighton's sister was Timna. And Leighton was one of the chieftains among the Seir inhabitants of the Hittites who lived there previously. She said to Eliphaz, I'm not worthy to be a wife. If only I can be a concubine. In the Chronicles, Divrei Yamin, she is counted amongst the children of Eliphaz. This teaches us, again, this Eliphaz was a guy that was sleeping around. Eliphaz had a relationship with Seir's wife, and Timna was born from them. So it was not even from his wife. And when she grew up, she became his concubine. So his daughter from this man from his affair became his wife. This is why it's written Leighton's sister was Timnah. Yet she was not counted amongst the Seir children. For she was Leighton's maternal sister, but not his paternal sister. He came from a different father. She came from Eliphaz. Bnei Ruel. And these are the sons of Ruel, Nachas, Zerach, Shamo, Mizo. Bnei Basmas, these are the descendants of Basmas, Bnei Aliyah Basana. And these are the sons of Asa, his wife, of Bas Tivin, Ashes Asa, the daughter of Tivin, the wife of Asa, Vatel Asa, Ves Yosh, Ves Yalam, Ves Kairach. El Aluf Bnei Asa, Bnei Alif is Bechair Asa, Aluf Timna. Aluf of Timna, Aluf Amar, chief of Amar, Aluf Tivya, and Aluf Knaz. She says Aluf is a Rosh Mishpach, it's the head of the families. El Aluf Kairach, the chief of Kairach, Aluf Gatam, Aluf Amalek. El Aluf Alifaz, these are the children, the chieftains of Ace Alifaz, Eretz Edom in the land of Edom. El Bnei Ada, these are the sons of Ada, grandsons. El Bnei Ruel ben Esav, these are the sons of Ruel, the son of Esav. Aluf Nachas, Aluf Zerach, Aluf Shama, Aluf Miza. Ela Alufei Ruel be'eretz Edom. These are the tribe of, these come from the family of Ruel in the land of Edom. Ela bnei Basmas, Ashes Edom. This is the family of Basmas. Comes from Basmas, the wife of Esau. Ela bnei Avilima. These are the sons of Avilima, Bas Ashes Esau. Aluf Yosh, Aluf Yalem, Aluf Kairach. Ela Aluf Avilima. Basana, verse 19. Ela b'nei Esav, these are the sons of Esav, his sons and his grandsons. Ve'ela lufem hu Edom, these are their tribes. This is Edom. They were all called Edom. And that completes the Chumash for today. We continue the 16th essay, the 6th essay in Kuntas Rachel. So we are holding that the Alter Rebbe says, the Gemara that talks about that David HaMelech called the Torah a Zemira, a nigun, a song. So God got angry. And he said, you're calling it a song. And therefore, he forgot halacha about not putting the ark on the wagon. So then the Alter Rebbe went in, what's wrong calling it a song? And the Alter Rebbe says, why did he call it a song? Because he realized, my God, how great this world is, but that how great this world is nothing to the simple mitzvah. So he said, in essence, this whole world and all its headaches and all its, what is it to a mitzvah? Garnished. So why do I have to care about the world? I'm so happy to be a Jew that even though I'm going through more tzaddis than you can imagine, as we know David HaMelech went through a lot of tzaddis in his life, but what does this whole world and all the tzaddis have to do with one mitzvah? Garnished. Nothing. And therefore, not only were they nothing, they're all nothing to this mitzvah. And not only are they nothing to this mitzvah, because all their existence comes from the mitzvah, it comes from the diktuke mitzvah, it comes from the specific parts of the mitzvah, not even the whole mitzvah. It comes from one diktuk, from one specific concept. The whole world has its existence. So that's why he was happy. So what's so terrible about that? But God was not happy. However, for extolling the Torah with the quality of saying, Zemira Sayeli, that this is a song to me, I'm so happy, Nena Shazer, he was punished. Why? And God says to him, David HaMelech, Zemiras Kanisalu, you're calling my Torah a song. Why? Mishum shebe'emes, my losazu. He said to David Melech, you're right. But is that the real purpose of the Torah? Are you saying the purpose of the Torah is to give existence to this world? We should that you are praising, that all the world is bottle, is nothing, to one detail of the Torah. That's the greatness of the Torah. That's not the greatness of the Torah. That's the hinder part. That's the externality of the greatness. From the profound supernal thought. As is brought down in elsewhere, B'Shem Arizal, in the name of the Arizal, and the statement of the sages. The Torah is the withered visage of the supernal wisdom. But the innermost core of the depth of the supernal thought, is the inner core of the Torah. What is the inner core of the Torah? It's not what the Torah accomplishes. It's what the Torah is. When you say what the Torah accomplishes, that's the outer aspect of the Torah, noivlis. Noivlis is the outer expressions of the Torah. Because the inner purpose of the Torah is mecheres legam be'einu seiparchu, is God. Hamaluvish ba, which God Himself is totally enclosed, the perfect unity with the Torah. And when you're talking about the infinite light of God, what does the world have to do with the whole thing? If we're talking about the essence of God, what's the world? God, I thought the world is nothing. It's not important. The world is unimportant when we're talking about God. So therefore, it's an embarrassment in essence to talk about that the world is nothing to God. You kidding me? That's not a praise to say the world is nothing to God. That's like the Gemara says. You have to be careful. You praise God, because if you praise Him that God is a billionaire, God is not a billionaire. He's above him, ain't safe. So what do you mean He's a trillionaire? So in comparison to the infinite light of God, all the worlds are as absolutely naught. Sheer nothingness, non-existence. Because as we say in our prayers, God is there before the creation of the world. You're the same since the world was created. So the Eibishter God is the same before creation as after creation. Now you're saying, wow, God, the world is bottled to the Eibishter. The world is nullified to God. The world is nothing compared. Are you serious? You shouldn't even mention the world when you talk about God. Being absolute no account related to God. All worlds affect no change now. So hence, the eternal aspect of Torah too, which is wholly united with God. You should not, Lord, don't praise it. That it gives, animates the world. Because it's nothing. It's not a praise to it. To say that the Torah animates the world, that's not praising the Torah. What's the praise of the Torah? It's God. The inner aspect of Torah it's not there to make people happy. That's what the Torah was there to make somebody happy. That David HaMelech should sing. And rather, the Gemara says, what is the Torah? The Torah is the pleasure of God. The heartful joy and pleasure of the King. The Holy One, blessed be who delights in it. The Eibishter delights in the Torah. You delight in the Torah. Kelakim Haven Darka, because their God really understands the ways of the Torah. V'yodim and Kaima, Umalasa knows its true station and its true quality. V'yedias Atzmeka v'yachol, the Eibishter knows it from self-knowledge. As it were, knowing himself, he also knows the Torah that's entirely one with him. However, this is concealed from all mortal eyes. As the Pasuk says, you cannot know the essence of the Torah, just like you cannot know the essence of God. The essence of the Torah, Pnimius, which is by Shom Hashem Rizal, as Arizal explains over there. That by him, the Torah is a delight. Shashuyim. Meaning only at slight dafke. It's by God a delight. You're going to say the Torah is a delight by you? You're going to say the Torah is a delight? What do you mean the Torah was given to your delight? The Torah was given to you to dance, to make happy. The Torah is God's delight. So in order the words of the original to make it clear, the Torah is God's delight alone. As it says, the Torah is a delight. It's a playing before him. Lefanav daike, meaning before him. It goes to the essence of God. The Torah is the essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and therefore, by God, it's a pleasure. It relates to Pnimis. For this refers to the innards of the Torah that converts before the innards of the infinite, like God. It sings before the inner essence of God. Alter Rebbe will now explain that this sublime level of Torah, in which God alone delights, descends to nurture the soul of the Jewish people. For this reason, the Medrash calls a Torah Uman, a craftsman, one who skillfully nurtures a young child. Uman, saying this innermost level of Torah, it's written, I was by him Uman, one who nurtured. I'll take a Uman ela Uman. The Medrash comments do not read Ammon, but Oymen, one who nurtures. This sublime innermost level of Torah descends to nurture the Jewish soul, in so much as they transcend the world. The world, however, is vitalized not by the level of this level of Torah, but only by the external level of Torah. And in reference to the hinder part, the external part of Torah, it's written, which is written and says in the verse, the Torah itself describes itself as playing in the world, his land, and my delight are with mortal men. It's the external aspect of Torah that brings delight to the world and to men. The Torah itself was given in a state of inner and outer, external. Everything has an inner concept and external concept. So you can connect to the inner concept or you can connect to the external. The Silver Megillah offered the Zechariah, as is written concerning the flying scroll of Zechariah. It's one of the prophecies of Zechariah. He writes, and it's written, Suva Panim V'achar. He says the Torah is written Panim in front and in back. Panim means face or front, is the root of Pnimius, innards, innerness, and Achar, back, is the root of Achrayim, hinder part, externality. So that's why God was shocked that David HaMelech grasped the outer part of Torah. Since at that moment, David HaMelech grabbed the hinder part of Torah, a term such as songs. He said, the Torah is my delight. I'm happy with the Torah. I'm sad. That's a hinder part of Torah. Relating real to external aspect of Torah that relates to the world and that animates it. That's why he forgot the Torah itself. That's why, what was his punishment? He forgot a simple law. Because he in essence, considered the Torah only in its outer dimension. which forgetfulness comes when everything is only a hinder part. Person does not forget things that are truly internalized within him, but only things that remain external to him. And therefore he forgot. That's why his punishment was that dafka. He forgot a simple pasuk in the Torah. Avodas hakodesh aleim because of so that they carried is their duty on the shoulder. They shall carry that the ordering, the ark is always carried on the shoulder, not in the wagon. Why dafka this law? Because the concept of the shoulder, they carried on the shoulder. The shoulder is connected to the hinder part, which is akin to the hinder part. With the sacred part, the supernal wisdom, which is called sacred, in a manner reflective inwards. For the state of the innards is the source of the tablets of the ark. So he should have realized, and that's why he made a mistake in that halacha, because that was the point, that the ark is carried by the shoulders, connected to the hinder part. What was carried? The inner aspect of the Torah, the luchos, the tablets. That the tablets were totally miraculous. It's written that the tablets are written on both sides. That you can read the tablets from both sides, which is a miraculous concept. That the tablets didn't have a face and back. So if you take a tablet, you have the front of the tablet and the back. But the Gemara says you read the tablets on both sides. What is that symbolic? There's no face, no front or back, both on the front. Because the tablets were miraculous and they showed the inner part of Torah. And therefore, there was no face and back to the tablet itself. Or entirely punim signified pnimis inwards. The purpose of carrying the ark on the shoulder was thus to connect the external aspect of the Torah, man, with the inner aspect of the Torah. And that's what he was shocked. So God was shocked that David HaMelech didn't do that. He grasped the outer aspect of the Torah and expressed how beautiful the Torah is to the world, when he should have grasped the inner aspect of the Torah, that the Torah is beautiful to God. And that's what he should have expressed himself. And that's why David HaMelech was at a very big level, but that's why he was punished in this law. Ayin Sham, study that reference in the Yerushalmi Talmud well over there. And that completes the Tanya for today. Beautiful teaching, a whole essay. We finished actually the 6th essay of the Alter Rebbe in Kutusach. Today is the 15th day of Kislev. It's in Tehillim in Psalms, it's chapter 77 and chapter 78. If you do those two chapters, you do the chitas of the day. The Rebbe writes today in the 15th day of Kislev, the Alter Rebbe told his son, the Mittler Rebbe, his son, the Mittler Rebbe, his grandfather, used to call his grandfather the Baal Shem Tov. It was not his maternal, not his paternal grandfather, it was just his spiritual grandfather. The grandfather, the Baal Shem Tov, said that one must have mesiras nefesh, self-sacrifice, and dedication for loving of your fellow. Even to the Jew who you never seen, you have to have Avas Yisrael, mesiras nefesh, with self-sacrifice. You should have the love of some of your neighbor. My dear friends, I wish you all a wonderful and beautiful Shabbos. I hope that you all learn Chitas tomorrow by yourself. And the Midshem will come together on Sunday again, 7:45. Not at 8 o'clock, but 7:45. It gives us more time. Do Chitas 7:45. We'll come together 7:45 to do Chitas on Sunday instead of 8 o'clock. I wish you all a wonderful, beautiful Shabbos. God bless you all. We should only have simchas and happiness.